What's up, everybody? Brian Tong here, and Samsung just announced their all-new foldables for 2021 with the Galaxy Z Fold 3 and the Galaxy Z Flip 3. So these are just my reactions to what we saw, and honestly, wow, I mean, those are just absolutely impressive devices. And what I love about their Z Fold product over the years is that they've acknowledged when they've made mistakes. Samsung's very first Z Fold, it had all kinds of issues with dust and the hinge and the screen. I mean, Samsung, they took their punches there, but then they responded with a significantly improved Z Fold 2 that really just felt like, to me, a completely new device with an all-new hinge and design. And then they implemented their sweeping hinge tech to the Z Flip phone. And honestly, if you got to see my review of the Z Fold 2 from 2020, it was my favorite device of the year. The price wasn't my favorite, but it really just set the standard for foldables. And Samsung has just made the boldest moves and innovations in this foldable space. And isn't that what you want from a tech company? And now with the Z Fold 3 and the Z Flip 3, they have just fine-tuned these devices in every way. They've upped the tech, they've responded to people's biggest gripes and concerns, and they made them even more price-friendly. So I'm loving everything about them. Let's just start off with the Z Fold 3, and cosmetically, it looks pretty similar, but there's a whole lot more happening here beneath the surface. They've managed to make the Z Fold 3 even lighter and slimmer than last year. It weighs 271 grams compared to the Fold 2's 282 grams. And if you look, here's the comparison to it, folded and unfolded in size from the Z Fold 3 to the Z Fold 2. Look, every millimeter counts. Their metal hinge and Fold 3's frame, this is built with the new material that they call armor aluminum, and that's 10% stronger and lighter. You've got their hideaway hinge. It's been even more streamlined, and it's thinner than before, so it just won't stick out as much, which wasn't even an issue for me with the first one. We also have the cover, and the outer screen of it is 50% stronger using Gorilla Glass Victus on the Fold 3. The cover screen is still a 6.2-inch AMOLED display, but it bumps up the resolution slightly to 387 pixels per inch. That's an improvement of 1 pixel per inch, but it now also brings a buttery smooth 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate on the cover screen for the first time. Then we go inside the main screen. Inside, it's still a 7.6-inch AMOLED Infinity Flex display with its adaptive 120 hertz refresh rate, and you're going to still have that crease in the center, but you know, this never bothered me and only showed up, really, you can only see it on those occasions when the light just hits it at the right spot. And yes, it's there to me. It's the nature of the design, but even with it there, it doesn't impact its usability for me negatively at all. There were very few times where it actually got in the way of me using it. There's also a new protective film that's 80% more durable and scratch resistant, so no one's going to complain about that on the inner screen. But the biggest cosmetic improvement, and I absolutely love this, it now features an under the display 4 megapixel camera. There's no longer a camera hole, and yes, the Fold 2 had a 10 megapixel one, so the camera was better, but visually, look, using apps, consuming content and media, this is a huge deal for doing anything on it. You're getting a full clean screen, no distractions, no little punch hole, and I just can't wait to use it in person. But then beyond that, the biggest feature improvement here, the Z Fold 3 now supports the S Pen and all the functionality you expect with it. So the S Pen is coming to a foldable for the first time. There will be a specific S Pen Fold edition that has air commands for screenshots or jotting down notes. We've seen this before, but this is going to open up a whole new world of productivity for this device specifically. I can only imagine kind of all the new things that you can do with it. Now, it's only compatible with the Z Fold 3, and it has an auto retractable tip for people who tend to just like write really hard with so much force, so there's going to be less chance of it damaging the screen. It won't connect via Bluetooth, and there will also be a special cover case just for the S Pen Fold Edition with the Fold 3. Now, you also have the S Pen Pro that can connect to multiple devices over Bluetooth and has a more comfortable grip and a thicker body. Now, this can be used with the Fold 3 and other compatible S Pen devices like the S21 Ultra or the Note lineup. So really, the top 2 requests people wanted have now been addressed. There is no more punch hole camera in the display, and the S Pen finally works with the Fold. Now, the triple lens rear camera and the cover camera bring the same performance, but you're getting an even clearer camera glass with Gorilla Glass DX. The telephoto camera has optical image stabilization and a 2x optical zoom, but it's not going to come anywhere close to the periscope camera with its 10x optical zoom on the S21 Ultra. Now, they've also partnered with more third-party apps to optimize them and the user experience for the Fold 3's form factor. I think this is going to kind of be the biggest thing that we're going to be able to see from a usability standpoint every day. Like, how do these apps work on this device? Under the hood, the Z Fold 3 is powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G mobile processor. Its 5 nanometer 64-bit octa-core processor will be even more energy efficient compared to the Fold 2s, and that likely works in tandem with its 4400 milliampere hour battery that is slightly smaller than last year's 4500 milliampere hour, but the Fold 2, it brought about 10 hours of battery life, and if the Fold 3 hits that benchmark with this more optimized processor while being thinner and lighter, that's a win. Now, it comes with 12 gigs of RAM for both the 256 and 512 gig internal storage capacities. There's one eSIM and then 2 nano SIM card slots in this phone for more versatility. You obviously are going to get 5G and LTE connectivity. You're going to get a fingerprint sensor on the side, face recognition to unlock your phone, plus stereo speakers and support for Dolby Atmos. So when you look at this, Samsung has really made improvements everywhere you wanted them to with the Fold 3. The hardware, this is absolutely on point. It has pretty much all the latest and greatest stuff you can expect. I mean, look, the critic in me, knowing the form factor, can't support it. I'd love a better optical zoom, but look, if that's the only thing that I can complain about a device as complex, it's doing a lot of things great. It's also, what's getting me more curious about is the new software partners and just the app versatility we might see, because this is the most versatile device on planet Earth right now. Now, the Fold 2, at its time, it answered a lot of the questions of its durability compared to the original Fold. Well, now the Fold 3 has an IPX8 rating, which makes it the first water-resistant foldable ever. The Fold 3 can be submerged underwater deeper than 1 meter, and that's good for people who want to bring it maybe near a pool or in a tub. Now, last year's model came with just an anti-erosion waterproof coating, but it was never waterproof. But then you hear that the X in IPX8 means that there is no dust resistant rating on this foldable whatsoever, and we're going to see how that bears out over time. People might be up in arms, but you can't really complain about it until it's actually been in use over time. Samsung, we know they have that sweeper hinge tech that kind of brushes out dust and particles, and it's shown its worth with the Fold 2. We really didn't see any widespread major issues, specifically, if you compare it to the original Fold, and I think that's what they're likely relying on for the Fold 3. So just don't take it to a dusty area or a beach with sand, but your nearby pool or bathtub, that should be just fine. Now, the Z Fold 3 comes in 3 colors: Phantom Black, Phantom Green, and Phantom Silver. For me, it's between the black and the green. I mean, the green is intriguing, but that black is so nice. It starts at $1799 for the 256 gig model, and that's $1,799, not $1799 for those of you. And now that you're thinking about it, you're like, sheesh, but look at it this way. It's $200 less than the original launch price of the $1999 price point of the Fold 2. So that's going to be an improvement with all the new tech that they have here. Pre-orders start on August the 11th, and then it goes on sale on August the 27th. So maybe if you do a little trade-in with your previous phone, and you're probably looking at around maybe even a $1,500 price point. And I know that's still a lot, but it's more digestible than a starting price point of $2,000 plus tax, plus whatever you get. But if you pre-order on Samsung.com, you're going to get a $200 credit for Galaxy products, plus your first year of Samsung Care Plus covered with a 3-year commitment. Now, when you look at this Fold 3, I think it's absolutely amazing. I'd love to hear where you're at with this. I mean, is this the year that you all finally give foldables a chance? I wanted to do it last year, but 2,000 plus was just too much for me with my budget. And I think the tech and the features honestly align with the pricing when you compare it to what else is out there. But has it come down enough for you? I'd like to say, hey, maybe I'm getting closer to that. So put in the comments. I'll read them if I feel like I want to, but just put them in there. I mean, we all want to see this. But let's now, we talked about the Fold 3. Let's jump over to the Z Flip 3. And this might actually be the phone that moves the needle if we're talking about foldable phone adoption and sell-through. I think even more than the Z Fold 3 because of its smaller form factor. It's got that kind of fun flip appeal, fits in your pocket easily. It kind of appeals to both men and women a lot more than just the Fold 3 does. And it's more appealing from a price point standpoint. Now, we know that there's no Flip 2. They're name hopping a Flip 3 so that they have the same number, Fold 3, Flip 3. But they're fully invested in foldables. And what I like about this is that you can tell that Samsung is treating the Flip 3 as a totally different device, and it shows with their approach. So what's the number one thing when I use the original Flip, that I wanted from it? A larger cover screen. And that is exactly what they did. The Flip 3 is nearly 4 times larger at 1.9 inches versus 1.1 inch on the first Flip. And this is a huge difference where you can get notifications. There's 4 lines of information on screen. You have the ability to scroll down and not even have to open up your phone. They've even made 6 different widgets, and you can see Samsung Pay on it as well. This is a Super AMOLED display with a 302 pixel per inch resolution, just 1 pixel less than last year's. The weight of the phone is going to be exactly the same, but if you check this out, you can see the dimensions and the comparisons that are slightly smaller when you go from the Flip 3 to the original Flip. There's also similar improvements that the Fold 3 has brought over to the Flip 3 because, they've been developed at the same time. You get Gorilla Glass Victus on the outside. It's also using Armor aluminum for a stronger and lighter frame. The main screen is the same 6.7-inch AMOLED Infinity Flex display with a crease that doesn't bother me while bringing a 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. The inside display is also now 30% stronger with this new flex mode functionality depending on the app it's being used with. The camera features the same specs, but now you're also getting the super clear Gorilla Glass DX for the rear cameras. You can also now shoot vlogs right from the cover screen and then use its larger display to see what you're shooting, so it offers more versatility there. It also has an IPX8 rating, just like the Fold 3, so that's waterproof. It can be submerged under 1 meter of water, but then there's no dust resistance, and they are, again, relying on that sweeper hinge to keep the dust out of it. The Flip 3, also powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G mobile processor. Its 5nm, 64-bit octa-core processor is also more energy efficient, but the larger external display might use more power than last year's model, so it might even out. I mean, it's still using the same 3,300 milliampere hour battery, so battery life will likely be about the same, just over 8 hours. We're gonna have to test that out. It also has 8 gigs of RAM for the different capacities, 5G and LTE support, plus a fingerprint sensor on the side. Now, the Z Flip 3 comes in 7 different colors. You got cream, green, lavender, and phantom black, while gray, white, and pink, those are going to be Samsung.com exclusive colors. For me, it's between, I guess what, lavender, I like that purplish. You got the black, green, and white for me. Those are my top 4 colors. But it starts at $999 for the 128 gig model. There's also a 256 gig model as well. And just like the Fold 3, pre-orders start on August the 11th, and the Flip 3 goes on sale on August the 27th. Now, if you pre-order on Samsung.com, you're going to get a $150 credit for Galaxy products, plus your first year of Samsung Care Plus covered with a 3-year commitment as well. But this is really a significant price difference after the original Z Flip. You got to go back in time. It started at $1,380. So we're talking about almost a $400 difference from one generation to another in just a year. And getting below that $1,000 price point, right, starting at $999, I think this is really going to make people take a serious look at the Flip 3 and possibly convert more users than it ever has before. Now, I loved the Flip Z form factor from last year. It's got this fun fidgety way with it. I mean, it takes us back to some of those Motorola days if you were part of that group, but it also brings even better functionality now with the Flip 3. So, I'm going to ask you again, everybody, are you ready to go foldable, or maybe what's stopping you from doing it? Hey, put in the comments, because I think we're going to see opinions just all over the place when it comes to this. And I would love to get them, these foldables, even thinner to fit in my skinny jeans. And I know that they will eventually, but you know what? Forget about it. Beyond that, I mean, it's a product that just does so much more than your standard phone. I think people that have shied away from it and think it's just a gimmick, you got to really use these things and understand your brain almost has to be changed a little bit. And then you just realize how powerful, how amazing these are. I mean, that's what I found specifically with my Fold 2 review. And that's why I'm so juiced about the Fold 3. So I'm going to wait to review them. But on paper, right now, the Fold 3 specifically, this is the most exciting piece of tech that we have seen this year for me. And it looks like, this is kind of like finally the first really fine-tuned foldable that we've ever seen. It checks all the major boxes that I can think of with hardware and software. So I'm excited to get my hands on one, and it's already positioned itself for me to be my favorite device of 2021. I guess until the next device comes around, but it was my favorite device of 2020, and they've just made it that much more better. So I think it might be that way. We'll see. But if I had to pick, which one of these two, the Fold 3 and the Flip 3, would be the better seller of the two worldwide, I'm going to put my bets on the Z Flip 3. All right, everybody, if you like this video, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get all my videos when they drop. And also come back to my channel because I'm going to review these things. Also, you can watch all my other stuff, but I got to tell you, Apple, we know Apple is Apple, and they have their ecosystem, but they aren't doing anything even remotely this exciting in the phone space right now. And yeah, sorry, that's just real talk. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care and be safe. Peace and love.